to the Word of God. Come on and stand with me one more time if you don't mind. We're going to 1 Samuel. I'm going to chapter 22. Beginning at verse number 1. Our character for this week is Gad. I'm in the New International Reader's Version today. For those of you on electronic Bibles. 1 Samuel 22. Verse 1 says, David left Gath and escaped to the cave of Adullam. His brothers and other members of his family heard about it, so they went down to join him there. Everyone who was in trouble or owed money or who was unhappy gathered around him. He became their leader. About 400 men were with him. From there, David went to Mizpah in Moab, and he spoke to the king of Moab. He said, please, let my father and mother come and stay with you. Let them stay until I learn what God will do for me. Verse 4 says, so David left his parents with the king of Moab, and they stayed with him as long as David was in his usual place of safety. Verse 5. This is our focal verse for today. It says, but the prophet Gad spoke to David. He said, hear me, church, don't stay in your usual place of safety. Go into the land of Judah. So David left and went to the forest of Hereth. That's our focus. Don't stay in your usual place of safety. Come on, look at somebody and say, it's time to move.
It's time to move.
In case kids can get your notebooks from Miss Tamara. If you don't have them, you can go ahead and get back there and get it. And 7 and under, y'all can be dismissed. Come on, look at somebody else on the other side and say, it's time to move.
It's time to
notebooks, kids, I left them at home today, so if yours does not have your name on it, please don't blame Miss Tamara. Please blame me. And you can write me a note about it, since I know y'all. One of the most frustrating and stressful and tiresome things to do is to move. I don't know if everybody in here has ever had to move before, but if you've had to move, then you know exactly what I mean when I say that moving is no fun.
Amen.
Moving is a hassle. Moving drains you. Moving makes you question whether or not it's even worth the move. Has anybody in here ever had to move?
Amen.
Yeah, moving requires great fortitude and humongous patience. For in moving, you discover a whole lot of things. Yeah. You find out how much unnecessary stuff that you truly have. Mm-hmm. And you find out how messy that you have allowed some areas to become. Yeah. We find out just how weak and out of shape we are when it's time to move.
Come on.
Yeah, when we're moving, things must be transferred, and some memories must be discarded, and often great expense is incurred. I made a few moves in my life, and each of those experiences came with some emotion. Yeah. Because if you've moved before, you know that there's always a reason for the move. Yeah. Sometimes it's because of an upgrade, a better job, a debt that's been paid, increasing your disposable income, or perhaps an increase in business or promotion. Sometimes moves are positive. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's because of a relationship change. Marriage usually is a catalyst for a move, or perhaps it's a child changing from being a dependent on their parents to being independent, or even a parent going from being independent to being a dependent to their own child. Yeah. Sometimes a move, though, is because of a loss, the loss of a marriage, or the loss of a parent, or the loss of a job. But there is usually something that precipitates the move. So if you've been through it, you know that moving is easy, no matter how much money you have, or how many friends you have to help you move, or how many movers that you can afford to hire. There is a toll that moving takes. However, I'd like to argue today that more often than not, physical moves are not only emotional, they can also be spiritual.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when we have to make a move in the natural, it comes with a shift in the spiritual.
Yeah.
It has a spiritual undertone, like I'm starting over, or I'm trying it again, I'm leaving a life behind,
Yeah.
I'm launching out, I'm making a sacrifice, I'm going back, or I'm stepping out on faith. All of these things are spiritual things, Linda, that are attached to moves. And I believe that this is a right now word, not just for me and for Greater Joy, but also for somebody in the house today.
Yeah.
Because most of us are at a decision point in our lives right now about whether or not to make a move.
Yes.
There are decisions, not just about our physical location, but about moves in relationships and jobs and businesses and family and ministry and weight loss and addictions and parents and children's and friends and major purchases. And it's time for somebody to make a move.
Yes.
Now, let me be real clear in the house. This is not a message about taking a leap because I said so. The purpose of this message is that we use the word of God for guidance in every situation.
Amen.
So don't go home and tell nobody that I told you to leave your spouse. And don't go to work tomorrow and quit your job. Y'all know we got a church to buy. Yeah, don't go out and buy something that you cannot afford, because sometimes not making a move is also a move.
Yes.
We must be led by the Holy Spirit in all things. But I want us to also understand that as believers, our journey is going to be full of twists and turns that might require that we shift sometimes.
Yes.
So we must know how to determine when it's time to make a move. I got 3 things to help us to know about making a move. Let me just gut check though in the house today. Is it somebody in here besides me that's trying to figure out right now whether or not you need to make a move? Okay, I wanted to make sure. I know I am. Is it somebody in here that's trying to discern whether or not now is the right time for something?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm not by myself. So let's get into it. It's time to make a move, Sherelle, if fear is keeping us from our destiny.
Yeah.
Let me provide some background on the story today. David is on the run from Saul. And Samuel has already declared that David is going to be king, and Saul doesn't like it. And his jealousy and him being intimidated by David, Sharonda, make him want to kill him. So David has been running and going from place to place. He's been in a cave in Adullam. He's hidden with his enemies, the Philistines. And now still on the run, he's at a place where most scholars believe to be Masada, that is a fortress or a stronghold. This version, the New International Reader's Version, tells us that it's a place of safety.
Yeah.
And our person of focus for the week, Gad, tells David that he cannot stay in the place of safety. He must go back to Judah. Now, I know you wonder why this matters, since David was doing so much moving around anyway. Well, the issue was, Tasha, that Judah was not safe. It was going to be easy for Saul to find him in Judah. Everybody would see him and know who and where he was in Judah. But nonetheless, Gad told him he had to move.
Yeah.
And this is where I tie it back to you and to me. It might be time for us to make a move if where we stand right now is a wall of fear between us and our destiny.
Yeah.
David had to be seen. He had to gain new victories. He had to embrace his kingship. But what would have happened if he continued in hiding? So Gad told him he got to move. Can I just tell you what I think was going on here? I'm not sure if David was hiding from Saul as much as he was hiding from his destiny. Because God had always kept David, and God had never let his enemies hurt him. Not to mention that David was a mighty warrior on his own, but he loved Saul. Listen to what I'm about to teach here. And he didn't want to have to hurt him to get to the throne. He feared what he had to do in order to walk in his destiny.
Okay.
He feared what he had to do in order to walk in his destiny. And I have to tell us, beloved, that it's time for us to move, even if we're only staying where we are, because we're afraid to do what we've got to do to get to our destiny. Come on and tell somebody beside you, don't be afraid. Do what you got to do. Yeah, look at somebody on the other side and say, don't be afraid. Do what you got to do. We might have to push past the fear, and we might have to confront what intimidates us, and we might have to barrel through the anxiety in order to attain everything that God has meant for us. But too many times we allow our fear to keep us just beyond what we should truly have. We're scared to do what we've got to do in order to attain it all. We're scared to fill out the application, and we're scared to share our talent with the world. But we're scared to go ahead and join the gym, and we're scared to try out for the team. But what we don't understand is that our fear could potentially be hiding us from our destiny. So we can't be scared to move. That's why we need some Gads in our life that can speak clearly, and we know it's of God. Can I be somebody's Gad in the house today and tell you, don't be afraid to leave your usual place of safety. Don't be scared to launch out into the deep. Don't be scared to take a chance on God. Let me just tell you what I would have told David. Why are you scared when you know what God can do? Why are you scared when you know what God promised you? Why are you scared when you've seen God do it before? Okay, let me say it because I'm getting a little tongue-tied. Y'all help me preach today. Your neighbor ain't listening to me no way, so will you help me get through to him this morning? Can you just tell your neighbor for me, don't let your fear hold you back. Yeah, don't let your fear keep you from greatness, and don't let your fear keep you from your breakthrough, and don't let your fear keep you from your destiny. Come on and tell somebody, don't let it hold you back. Yeah, don't let your fear keep you from taking a chance on God. Don't let your fear keep you from putting yourself out there. Don't let your fear keep you from trying it one more time. Yeah, because if you ain't scared of it, then your dream ain't big enough no way. If it doesn't bring up some butterflies in your stomach, then you're walking too cautiously anyway. And I believe that God is looking for some kingdom believers that'll say, I refuse to allow my fear to keep me hidden from my destiny. There's a saying that I heard this week, and I really love it. I got to teach it to you because it said, follow your fear. It might take you somewhere great if you follow your fear, because we spend too much time running from our fear, and we spend too much time backing away from our fear. But the Lord told me, if you follow the fear, then it might take you somewhere great. Do I have any people in the house this morning that'll say, Pastor Kim, I've been a little scared. I know that I was feeling like I ought to try something different, and I knew that it was time for me to let some stuff go, and I knew that the Lord was telling me to go ahead because I could win. Oh, but my fear, it kept me from what might be my destiny. Well, I came to be your guide in the house today to tell you that you need to go on and make a move. If the only thing that's stopping you is the fact that you're scared to move. Can I just preach the word of God today, Mr. Sherman? It said, for God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and a sound mind. So if you're scared, it did not come from the Lord. If you're afraid, God didn't put that fear on you. Do I have somebody in the house today that'll say, oh, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to make a move. I think I got a little boldness today. Because I don't know about you in this house, but I want everything that God has lined up for me. And I refuse to allow my fear to keep me from my destiny. Somebody throw your head back and say, it's time to move. Yeah, we might need to move if we're letting our fear hide us us from our destiny. Secondly, we might need to move if staying allows the enemy to dictate our territory. David had been hiding in caves and in the wilderness. Oh, he was mighty even out there. Now, don't get it twisted. He handled his business even on the run. But as long as he just stayed on the outskirts, his territory was limited. If he did make a move, then there were always going to be restraints on what belonged to him and what he could claim. By failing to move, he allowed his enemy to dictate what his territory was. Yeah. He was to be the rightful king, but the enemy was controlling his territory. Yeah. This is the second reason we can use to determine whether or not we need to move. We might need to move if we're staying where we are because the enemy said so. Let me see if I can make it clear. Has the enemy told you that where you want to go is too big for you? Has the enemy said that what you want is more than what you should have? Where are my Carolina fans at? Has the enemy told you that you can't move because you're not worthy? Well, I'm glad to be the Gad in somebody's life today and tell you that the only reason that the enemy said that was because he wants to control your territory. He knows that where you are now operating is much smaller than what God set aside for you. And if he can hold you there, then that gives him the freedom to rule the territory that rightfully belongs to you. Can you preach the second point to your neighbor this morning and tell him you're worthy of more ground? You're worthy of more ground. Yeah, tell somebody on the other side you're worthy of more ground. Don't let the enemy tell you what you can't have. Don't let the enemy tell you where you can't live. And don't let the enemy tell you where you can't work. And don't let the enemy tell you where you can't go. God said, go ahead and make a move because I already set that territory aside for you. Do I have any folks in the house this morning that'll say every time I get ready to move, the enemy tells me, no, you ain't ready. Every time I get ready to make a move, some little voice in my head tells me that I'm not good enough. Is there somebody in the house today that'll say every time I get ready to step out on faith, the doubt in my self-consciousness won't allow me to take a move forward? Do I have some timid people in the house today that'll say sometimes I don't want to be rejected? Sometimes I don't want to hear no again. Sometimes I don't want to be disapproved of. So I just stay right where I am. And God said, I got more territory for you. If you would just go ahead and step out on faith. When you high five your neighbor one time and say, you better stop listening to the enemy. Because he just wants your territory. Tell him, you better stop listening to that voice in your head. Because that's not the Holy Spirit talking. get the enemy out of your business. It's time to get the enemy out of your body. God said that's your territory. And you better stop allowing the enemy to rule what I set aside for you. You are having people in this house that'll say, Lord, I'm ready. Enlarge my territory. Lord, I'm ready. Get the enemy off my land. God, I'm ready. Get the enemy off my territory. I'm not going to be stuck where I am and let the enemy rule in my land. Somebody say, no limits, no boundaries. I see increase all around me, and I'm putting my claim in right now. It's time for me to get my territory. Brother Joe, we're putting our claim in. It's time for us to get our territory. Somebody say, no limits, no boundaries. Because God said, I got some peace that you ain't got out of your territory. He said, I got some love for you that you ain't got out of your territory. He said, I got some promotion for you that you ain't got out of your territory. But I need you to confront the enemy and tell him that he can't have it. Do you know why I can confront him, Sylvia? Do you know why I can confront him, Mr. Dwight? Because God said that every season has a time limit. David needed a cave, but only for a season. He needed to be in the wilderness, but only for a season. He even had to stay with the Philistines, but only for a season. And God didn't beat him down for that. He told him to go ahead and move, because every season has a time limit. There was a season for him to run and hide, but the time limit on that was up. And somebody in the house this morning is sitting in a place right now, and you know that the season has already passed. Somebody in the house right now, you're dwelling in a season of your life that God has already told you it was over. It was good for a moment, but now the time limit has passed. It's time for you to move into your new season. Summer can't come until spring has passed. Winter can't come until autumn has passed. Sometimes they linger for a moment, but every season has a definite end. Is it somebody that's in here with me today that'll say, I'm just about ready for this season of my life to be over? Is it somebody in here today that'll say, I don't know what my next season is, but I believe it's time for me to move? Do you mind high-fiving somebody and say, switch season? Now, how about somebody on the other side and say, switch season? I know it's been good too, but it's time for you to switch season. I cannot promise it's going to be miracle season. I Judah, everybody saw him. They saw his victories. They saw that God was with him. And more people got attached to David. And everybody with him began to be blessed. Do I have any people in here that will say, I'm ready to make a move? So everything attached to me. Do you hear what the people were? He said the people in debt. The people who were unhappy. The people who didn't like what the king was doing. All of them became blessed. I know my circle ain't perfect. I know my circle ain't spotless. Oh, but after I move, everything that was attached to me while I was in my old season is going to reap the blessings of what I get when I move. Will you highlight somebody? They said we're going to be blessed as I make this next move. We're going to be blessed as I make this next move. If you got some family in this house, you need to get to where you are and say we're going to be blessed as I make this next move. Because this next move is going to heal the brokenhearted. This next move is going to hurt the beat down. This next move is going to lift up the downtrodden. I don't just want to move for me. I want to move for everybody that's struggling in the wilderness. Just like me. I want to move for everybody that doesn't have nowhere to lay their head. Just like me. Somebody say everything attached to me moves. Everything attached to me moves. Everything attached to me moves. Now throw your head back and say it's time to move. Get out of your place of safety. Get out. There are people that need you to move. Your children need you to make a move. Your parents need you to make a move. Your wife needs you to make a move. Your husband needs you to make a move. Everything attached to you comes out of the wilderness when you come out. Time. It's time. Quit playing it safe. Quit doubting yourself. Has not God always kept you?
Always.
Has not God always made a way for you? Why are you scared? Why am I scared to make a move? When God already spoke over my life. And I won't even go and claim my own throne. What are you scared for? No, let's ask ourselves. What am I scared for? What am I scared for? God is always there. And the last time I checked, God had not changed. Same God.
Same God.
Yesterday, today, and forever.
Thank God.
I did not want to preach this sermon today, but God said it was for the house.
Well,
Because we're at a place, not Greater Jordan, not us. Talk about us.
Yes.
So many of us are at a place where we need to make a move.
Yes.
Listen to what the Lord said. We're doing better. We got our head on straight. We're making some progress. And now we've stopped. He said, no. That's not all the territory I set for you. I know you like it. I know it's comfortable. That's not what I said. He said, that's not what I said. Is this for somebody in here?
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
It's time to make a move.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about being foolish. I'm not talking about just doing anything. I'm talking about what God already said to you. I know it's in this room.
Yes.
What did God already say to you? I know all the reasons. I know all the logic. I know the whole list that you've written down about why. But what did God say? What did God say? Did he say move? Or did he say stay? Either way, it's time for us to follow God's instructions. Let's marinate on that for a minute. See, because for some of us, we're about to make a move that we know we shouldn't. And for us, the move is not to move. I know, it's confusing. It's confusing. But you know what God said to you. You know what he said. Move on his word. And even though this season may have been good to you, everything has a time limit.
That's right. That's right.
And we got to be okay sometimes with the season shifting into a time. We talked about this on Wednesday where we must be uncomfortable for a moment. See, because David was going to have to go and walk around where people could see him, saying, isn't Saul looking for you? Isn't Saul trying to kill you? Or people who were fans of Saul and not David to say, oh, let me go report, or let me try to kill David myself. He had to make himself vulnerable. He had to go out into a place where he was uncomfortable. But it was necessary in order that people could see the favor of God on him, so that he could get more victories that were visible, so that as he prepared to take the throne, then he would grow in stature and power. God needs somebody to see you in this next move. God needs somebody to see you being uncomfortable and taking that next step anyway. Yeah. God needs somebody to see you in this move that you're about to make, totally trusting God and moving on nothing else but just trusting God. So if you say, PK, how do you make an offer on a church with no money? I don't know. God just said move. So I just have to move. And let you all see it. And then see what happens. There's no guarantee on what your next season will be. But I know that obedience to the Lord always works out in the end. Move. Rosalind, move. Move. No move. No move. Yeah. The doors of the church are open. There's somebody here today